What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. So today is the first episode of Return to Hawkins, a series I'm doing where I'm taking a deep dive into every single episode of Stranger Things, starting with Season 1, Episode 1, going all the way to Season 4, Episode 9. I'll be doing one of these per week. I'll usually have my great friend Trevor from Film Geeks on here. Sometimes I'll have other guests as well. But this is going to be a really fun journey, and I'm excited to take you guys with me as we explore Stranger Things from the very beginning. Just want to keep the conversation going as we wait until Season 5, because this is my favorite show of all time, and I know a lot of you guys love this show as well. So make sure to hit the like button, comment down below your thoughts on this episode, any suggestions for different segments you might want to hear us do. It's pretty much just me and my friend Trevor gushing about the episode all over the place, having fun talking Stranger Things, and that's basically what I want this show to be. Hope you enjoyed the first episode. Let's take a trip to Hawkins. Welcome back to Hawkins, everybody. I am so stoked to get into this series as we're talking about Stranger Things Season 1, Episode 1. Trevor, how the hell are you doing?
Dude, I Return to Hawkins, baby. Episode 1, here we go. We got about 30-something of these to do. We're here with Episode 1 and diving back into this world I'm so damn excited about.
Oh yeah, we are essentially going through every single episode of Stranger Things once a week for those of you who don't know. There's about 34 episodes of the show, so that means we're going to be starting this now, and it's not going to end until like March of 2023. So hopefully by the end of this series, maybe we have a first teaser trailer for Stranger Things 5. That's optimistic thinking.
That's very optimistic. I like your glass half full thinking there. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Season 1, Episode 1, The Vanishing of Will Byers came out in July 15th of 2016. And we're basically just going to go through the episode, essentially fresh lens, as I like to say, or fresh perspective, because we've both seen Season 4, which has some pretty wild revelations. So we can talk about the episode and how it plays a little differently, maybe our favorite performances, favorite moments, just get into all that jazz. But before we even get into it, I just want to ask you, what are overall thoughts on this episode? How are you feeling after rewatching the one that started it all?
It's kind of crazy because you're seeing them as like kids again, so young. And like this came out in 2016. So it's what filmed in 2014 to see how old they are now to that. That's what kind of threw me for a whirlwind. But seeing like everything we know in Season 4 coming back to this episode, like the stakes just feel so much lower than before, you know, like yes, Will is gone, but like the stakes aren't all there just yet. It's like a very simple show. And that's why I think I love so much about the first episode.
It's so small scale. It's just kids hanging out. And that's why I love it so much. Like I have said this tons when I talk about it, but the amount of nostalgia that I get watching this episode and all of Season 1, it's unreal. It rushed over me like a wave when, you know, in the first few minutes after the great opening scene with the Demogorgon that we don't see, we see the kids playing D&D, they're cussing, they have super high-pitched voices, they're riding their bikes. I mean, it just makes you feel good
vibing
inside.
You know, it makes you feel so good, and that's what I love so much about. I love the vibe they create.
Yeah, the vibes are just, they're honestly immaculate, indescribable. You know, it's indescribably good.
They're riding the bikes home from the D&D, and I don't know how far you want to like, dive into things, but like right then and there, I always say, at least from watching this, Ted and Karen Wheeler are responsible for Will being kidnapped.
They're pretty bad parents, aren't they, man?
Bro, like, get out of here, 15 minutes, go. Like, that's it? Like, really? It's dark out. I get it. It's back in the day. Nothing really bad happens in Hawkins, as they say. But, like, you wouldn't let your kids hang out for 15 more minutes. If you did, Will probably wouldn't have vanished.
That might be the biggest what if in all of Stranger Things, my friend. There's, you know, there's the what if show for Marvel. That might be the biggest what if for Stranger Things. But yeah, I'd say my favorite moment in the entire episode is legitimately when Dustin, Will, and Lucas like take off with their bikes and they're riding, and then they go down the hill and Dustin's like, I'll race you, and then for the comic or whatever, and then Will takes off. He's like, I didn't say go. And then that's the score. The Kids is the name of the track. That's probably one of, if not my favorite pieces of music in all of Stranger Things.
I would say in probably TV history for me. Like I love that
the Kids theme. Yeah, man.
Yeah, God, it's so good. Like the little how it goes, like how it does it. I don't know. Yeah, but it's so great. It's great.
No, yeah, it's like the synth, and that honestly kind of set the tone for like the musical beats for the rest of the show. Another moment that I love too. I just want to like dive into everything I love about this episode. I don't even care. All over the place. Is like right before they dip out on their bikes when Dustin runs up to Nancy, and that's the first time we see Nancy, and he's like, I saved you a slice.
He's a slice, yeah. He's like in love with her. Yeah.
It's such a sweet moment. Yeah. I think it's like sausage and pepperoni, I think he says, but
he smiles with no teeth. He's just like
what a cute kid. I mean, you can't have Stranger Things without Dustin.
No, and like in this first episode, you really like establish like Mike is the leader, right? Like Mike's like the main focal point of these boys. Dustin's more the side. When you go to Season 4, Dustin's like damn near running the show of everyone. He's like running circles around people. So it's just crazy to kind of like compare back and forth, you know. And then Steve Harrington,
Steve, yeah.
The boy Steve, who I absolutely love this time around. The first time I hated this character on the first watch. I was like, God, he's such a douche. Sneaking into Nancy's window and trying to make out there. And Nancy, like, I love first season Nancy. That's the Nancy I love the most. I love her style. I love how she's always about like a very noble kid, you know, but like I'm not a big fan of Nancy as she goes on.
Nancy peaked in season 1 to me. Like she's always been like I've always loved her the most in season 1, but in this one, yeah, there's something about her that's so charming. And one of my favorite quotes from this episode is I think she said it twice. "You're an idiot, Steve Harrington." Like that's just they have to call back to that in season 5, dude.
They have to. Like I think if Steve doesn't make it through season 5, like then Nancy could say that. Like he dies in her arms. She's like, "You're an idiot, Steve Harrington."
I have chills right now, bro. I have chills thinking about that right now.
That'd be so great.
This episode excels at introducing characters, and especially on rewatch, you can kind of see we get the kids playing D&D, having that dynamic. But something that I adore is Hopper's introduction. Really kind of the way the camera pans across, you see it's messy. He's got pill bottles. He's been drinking. He's kind of a slob. So something's clearly up with him. And then when he pulls up to the sheriff's office, and he's like, "Mornings are for coffee and contemplation." Another one of my favorite quotes.
Written down.
Yeah.
Yep. That's my favorite quote from the episode. I have that written down. When Joyce is there, like the worried mother, because Will's now gone. And like that, Winona Ryder, like she just this is like the best you see here probably in season 1. Like that terrified, worried mother. And then Hopper's like, the worst thing that's happened to Hawkins in 4 years I've been here, when whatever so-and-so had a bird attack her because they thought her hair was messed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's real, like, again, the stakes are low. Hawkins, nothing bad happens in Hawkins. And now later on, everything bad happens in Hawkins.
Something I love about season 1 and the show in general is how it always kind of calls back to like 70s and 80s projects. And I've always thought this since the first time I watched it. When Hopper says that line about how like the owl attacked the girl's hair because it was like she thought it was a nest, it reminds me of in Jaws when Chief Brody is talking to his wife and he's like, "In this town," like it's like nothing happens in this town. And in reality, Hawkins is about to get turned upside down, which, by the way, what a clever name for the whole entire entity that kind of consumes the show.
What I love about this show a lot is that the kids' D&D game is what everything's named after. And they ride with that and they rock with that from even like in season 4 with Vecna from Eddie's campaign. But like the Demogorgon, is it the Demogorgon? Oh no. And like the one thing I love about this is like the core group, because it's like one of the only times we have like all the boys, like just them together, like trying to figure everything out. No one believe in them. That's what I love, because like they stick together and like they're 12, 13 years old. And no one's going to believe these kids, like when they're all yelling at each other when Hopper's trying to talk to them at school. And like, they're just pretty much smarter than everyone else. And they know something's up. They know something about their friend, like putting things together. Again, the vibe is great. These kids are hilarious. Ted Wheeler sucks, dude. I can't stand that guy. Like,
what a bum. Yeah.
Nuts. Yeah.
He's a bum character, but yeah, like you were saying, the first 10 minutes of episode, not even, I'd say 6 minutes before the intro is the only time really in all of this show where we see the 4 main kids innocent and having like the fun childhood. Everything gets flipped on its head after Will gets taken, and a really like tense opening. Like what a way to open your episode. And then the way it kind of fades to black when the logo pops up, like really damn good intro.
This poor damn kid, like he's got out of the first season in the first couple minutes, he's gone. And it really just like it sets the tone and vibe, like we're about to get a little crazy. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to give credit to, I think, the best performance in the episode, Winona Ryder. I think she's probably the standout performance in season 1. She's a very concerned mother. And there's one moment in the first episode where her and Jonathan, they're sitting down and she's flipping out. She's slamming the phone. And Jonathan's like, "We got to stay calm." Nancy in season 1's my favorite. Jonathan in season 1's also my favorite, because he is they set up that relationship so well. It's like the caring older brother, but he takes that extra shift just to help out with the family. So it's a shitty situation that they're in, but they are a tight unit. You can tell because there's even the Castle Byers moment set up. Like there's so many things that make you buy into Will's family. And I almost love that way of storytelling in season 1. The Duffer Brothers have been showing off since 2016, where the kid gets taken at the beginning, and then after the fact, they build him up and his family up. So you feel worse.
Isn't that, I was going to hit on that. Their storytelling ability is unlike anything other. Like Joyce goes into the Castle Byers little fort, and like she's there with Will, but then it cuts back to her in like present time when like it's almost like the color of everything, the hue of the screen is a little bit different. It's a little bit like gloomier, a little bit bluer, and like he's not there anymore. They're just trying to figure out what happened. Like they send a search party out, and Hopper starts to believe something's up. And Hopper is like, I love him most in season 1, probably just because like he's so against the world, but like he still has some good in him, and he's trying to like, it's like an internal struggle his character faces, right? Like we find out his daughter died, but he's in denial of that, and like that really they feed on his like drinking, his taking of the pills, and like his daughter kind of around in his head. They feed on that in the season 1, at least episode 1 too. Actually, you feel like Hopper's like he's down out.
Oh my
dude.
gosh, yeah. Episode 1 Hopper is fantastic because you don't know much about him from the start. And then another one of my favorite scenes in the episode, when they're all looking for Will, they're out in like the woods walking, and Mr. Clark, the teacher, is talking to him, and he's like, he's asking him all these questions, and then Hopper has a line where he's like, "Oh, my daughter, you know, she would have loved this." And he's like, "Oh, maybe I'll have her in my class." And he's like, "Oh, she's in the city with her mom." And then Hopper walks away, and then just another random citizen walks up and is like, his daughter died. Like, and that's like, oh shit, like Hopper's literally in denial of this. Each episode furthers like that whole relationship.
They do a great job at introducing characters. Like, if you ever like watch premiere and sometimes you're like, who is this guy? What's going to be? They introduce like the main core characters, all of them within this 49-minute runtime. Hopper's got depth. Steve just wants to get in his pants. Nancy is trying to be a good student, but she's still in love with Steve. You get a little bit of Barb in there who just wants to be there with Nancy, but Nancy's like, nah, and Barb's like, don't leave me. Like, you get a little bit of all these characters in this 40-something minute runtime. That's what gets me, man. And we haven't even talked about one character.
I was about to say, and that might be the most impressive thing the Duffer Brothers do, is the face of this entire show or franchise, 11, is so subtly introduced. She's like, just pulls up to like Benny's diner
and you're just walking in the woods.
Yeah,
you know, barefoot. And you're like, what? And this little buzz cut girl. You're like,
exactly. We're just so confused. And she ends up becoming one of the most iconic characters of all time. There's so much mystery about her. The scene where she's eating the burger and then Benny's kind of questioning her. And then we find out her name's 11. She has it tattooed on her arm. The acting from Millie Bobby Brown, I think like it honestly goes under the radar. Like, she's truly great. She's not saying a lot, but as a kid, having to convey that emotion and that fear, she kills it.
Kills it, dude. And kids, you can't get kids to shut up, you know? So like, imagine like, hey, you don't have any lines for the first majority of the season, you know? You know something's over there. Something's a little different. And like those guys, Dr. Brenner comes running in when they're at Benny's, and poor Benny, just a nice guy helping out a kid.
Honestly, like one of the most messed up deaths in the show. He gets popped in the head for no reason.
For hell, like, yeah, literally. He's like, oh, CBS, sorry, I didn't know, whatever. But like when Dr. Brenner comes in, like, oh, she's in there. And like, this is the 11, if you go now to season 4, that like just escaped from everything. Like, she just like dang near murdered everyone. Like, obviously one did, but she just got rid of one at this time, and she came out of that thing. So did you catch that? Like when they're like, she came out of here, like the one of the gates.
The one thing that actually confused me, and like on this rewatch, is I was looking at it through the perspective of knowing everything, and I was trying to like wrap my brain around it, and for whatever reason, like I couldn't like piece the puzzle together as smoothly as I wanted to. And I might like need to rewatch the episode or something, but like I remember in the season 4 revelation scene when she like causes the upside down and sends Henry/1 through there, he becomes Vecna. Like, she doesn't dip out of there immediately. I'm pretty sure she gets caught and stays at the lab a little bit longer, right? Because she doesn't leave directly from there to season 1. I'm pretty sure, because that's that's just my interpretation of it. So like that's the thing I was trying to piece, is like, do we ever see her break out? Is that revealed later in season 1, or am I just misremembering?
I don't know. I might be misremembering as well, but I'm pretty sure they said like, did she come out of this thing? I thought or maybe they're talking about.
Oh no, there was a line. There was a line like, "Where's the girl?" or something like that.
Yeah, like I thought they were talking about like she came out of the gate, and like I hope I think they will. Like, it might just be a little long, but that might be later down the road.
No, yeah, but I think they do explain it in season 1, but when you watch season 4 like 5 times in a row, memory gets foggy.
Exactly. And it's been so many years since we've watched season 1. So it's kind of like almost like, you know what happens, but it's like so much you don't know exactly as well. But the subtle introduction of all of these characters in the show, that's what the Duffer Brothers nailed. And like as a premiere, like, dude, it just hooked you right away. And the boys out there looking for Will, like just doing whatever they can to find their best friend. And even their parents, like, oh no, everyone, you heard the sheriff, like we have to stay indoors. Like, your best friend's gone. You're not going to go out as a parent of like your kid's friend and not help look. Like, come on.
Yeah, people in Hawkins are a little seedy. I don't know how I feel about them. Something I love about this episode is obviously its ability to introduce the characters and just like the vibes of the show and how it's going to feel. But there's a lot of like humorous moments, like a few in particular where I actually laughed out loud. I don't know if you found the episode
several times. Yes,
yeah,
very much.
Like I think we forget about how funny Stranger Things really is, and To me, I've always been a fan of Steve, and I know he's a jerk in season 1, but he has the nice turnaround. I've always been a fan. And again, am I toxic for that? Probably. But there's a moment. It's. I don't know if anyone else laughed, but I laughed really hard at it for some reason. It's when he sneaks into Nancy's room and like they're studying or whatever, and like he starts kissing her, and then Nancy's like, Steve, my parents, and then he goes, I don't see him. Like the way that he said it, made me laugh so hard just because I don't know what it was about. I think it was just the delivery or something, but he's like, no, I don't see him. And then it just made me laugh.
You're not wrong. Literally, I wrote notes and I wrote, Steve is a player.
That got me, dude. But yeah, I know there's some other funny moments, just like hearing the kids cuss. Like it's so funny for no reason.
Yeah, that's what I absolutely love about, like, from Lucas calling Dustin like, don't be a pussy in the very first couple minutes. You're like, Jesus. And it just, again, sets the vibes, sets the tones with these kids. And like, I wish I had friends like this, man. I really do. That's what it makes me think. I'm like, man, I wish I had some friends to do this with, like, growing up. Like, that would be so freaking fun.
You know what it makes me miss is riding my bike. I don't know if you rode a bike as a kid, but like I rode my bike around my neighborhood all the time and played like cops and robbers with my friends growing up and my neighbors, and it was just a great time.
So I grew up in Hickville of California, where my friends all lived about 25-minute drive from me. I was out in the boondocks. So if I rode a bike, it was like a dirt bike around my property by myself.
Okay, yeah. I would ride bikes like to my friend's house and all that. It was just a great time. Definitely a different experience in hindsight, watching it, knowing where everything's going to end, because when we first watched season 1 for the first time, and even through season 3, we didn't know about Vecna, and knowing about Vecna, like I can look at everything a little bit differently. Like I could say maybe Vecna took Will instead of the Demogorgon in that one shot. If you pay attention, it looks like it might, it's probably designed to be the Demogorgon, but you can retcon it and say it might be Vecna.
I was thinking the same thing, because I thought when like Hopper's like looking in Will's room, you know, and he kind of like hears some things, like it sounded to me like Vecna's voice, like how he has like that deep like Max, you know, it sounded like how he's kind of saying like Will or something. I was like, is that, I legitimately thought like, is that Vecna? And then the other cop, one of the dumb sheriffs, is all like, how you doing here, chief? You know, and kind of interrupts that moment where Hopper's like, what in the hell? Like, this is, something's fishy in Hawkins, and you truly see that all the people realize that. But Jonathan, and like you said, Jonathan and Joyce's relationship is great. Like they peak in season 1, but you start to see them like be fine and happy to cracking like almost immediately. Like Joyce is just freaked out as that concerned about it, as she should be, and like Jonathan's even trying to hold it together. But when the phone, like, remember the phone? Like that was like, dude, that's kind of crazy. Like that was one of the big things, that the phone kind of went dead. Like that was one of the big, oh my God, these trippy things, these stranger things, when you know everything happens now. And this was one of the scary things back in the day, just the phone not working. It was kind of crazy.
Agreed. Yeah. And I remember when I first watched season 1, the like little spark in the phone, like to her mouth, that freaked me out back then. And even now it's like, it's very, very ominous, very eerie. I mean, like it's, and to think how far we've come in season 4 with the horror in this show, this is just like little seeds that were planted along the way of how hard they would actually go in the final season, or season 4, I should say. So yeah, rewatching the first episode was a delight, truly. And I just think that it's pretty much a near perfect episode. Like if I'm looking at all the premieres of Stranger Things, I think this is it's probably actually the top premiere of the show. It's the one that started it all. It literally is responsible for the rest of the show. And I think the episode ends with a bang, personally. Would you agree?
The episode is fantastic, with the kids just looking around in the safe woods of Hawkins with their flashlights in the pouring rain, to flashlight on the one and only 11.
Yeah. And then the score kicks in, dude. The rain on her face. She's like, who the hell are these guys? And then they all come face to face with her. And it's like, again, watching that through a new lens of having seen all the relationships that would develop after this moment. It's truly crazy. It's iconic.
It's hella crazy. 100%. Highlight of the episode for you. My best favorite moment.
My favorite episode of the entire, my favorite moment of the entire episode is just seeing the kids be kids for the first 5-10 minutes, because that's the only time we really get to see them be pure kids and enjoy their friendship.
That's dope. I honestly like that's a really good moment. I'm gonna go with, because I love the guy now, Steve sneaking into Nancy's window, like surprising her, just trying to go and like just show her that he damn near loves her already, you know. And the boys see him, like Mike sees him like sneaking in. He's kind of like looking around like it's all good, and just the suave cockiness of Steve the Harrington.
What a guy, absolutely. But I think this premiere episode does a phenomenal job of hooking you in at the very end to want to come into
Right.
episode 2, because we're like, oh my gosh, how are they going to interact with 11? Are they going to be friends or foes? It creates a lot of
Yes.
mystery, and I think that each episode of the show does a fantastic job of that. But the first one in particular did a great job of setting up all the characters and planting little seeds about their character, you know, from Hopper's daughter to Steve and Nancy's relationship to Jonathan and Joyce and everyone, all the main kids.
Yeah.
And that bleeds over into the second episode really well, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It's like this, they make the binge worthy. I think this is probably one of the first Netflix series that like really started the binge model, because like once you're done with episode 1, if you had to wait a week, you couldn't. You're like, oh,
No
well, right
shot.
now.
Yeah.
Like last night, I was like, I'm ready to watch episode 2.
Yep.
Like right away, right then and there, like it leads you right into, you're like, wow. Like they just do a great job. And the Duffer Brothers, Sean Levy, everyone on board with the show, created my favorite show of all time, and Return to Hawkins we are, baby. Woo!
Absolutely. What a great first episode to this show, and a great one to kickstart the Return to Hawkins series here on the Film Stock channel. I had an absolute blast talking Stranger Things Season 1, Episode 1, The Vanishing of Will Byers. And we'll be back next week talking about Season 1, Episode 2, The Weirdo on Maple Street. I'm sure that'll be quite a fun time as well. But let us know what you guys think of Episode 1 down below. What's your favorite moments, favorite character, performance, all the things we talked about. Let us know your thoughts on that in the comments down below. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Head over to Trevor's channel, Film Geeks, and check out all the content he's got going over there. But that's going to do it for episode 1 of Return to Hawkins. And we'll see you guys on the other side of the Upside Down.